The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So I have a black armband on, Adam.
I hear that, yes. Yeah. Must be tough.
It's a sad day indeed. We found out this week that Jurgen Klopp, my favorite hugging German, is leaving the club at the end of this season. Leaving Liverpool, and I'm very upset. But by the same token, we just finished watching the Liverpool-Chelsea match, and now I'm feeling a little better because it was not close, was it?
No, and as you said, you might be feeling better. I don't feel particularly good right now. So if I'm a little down in the dumps, then you'll know exactly why.
Okay, well, that means it's time for Free Kicks.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
So, good news, bad news. As I mentioned, the good news is quite good. A 4-1 victory for Liverpool over Chelsea, your team. The bad news, much worse, and that is that the hugging German is gone or will be gone at the end of the season. But doesn't it feel like since he made that announcement that Liverpool might be on their way to something special this year?
Potentially, yes. I mean, it seems like their injury-prone players have come back and started to do very well. And then this emergence, and I really didn't know too much about him, to be honest. And really today was a kind of a coming-out parade for him was Conor Bradley. What a fantastic performance. I mean, that guy looked like he was the best player on the field, to be honest. So, yeah, crazy. Maybe this is going to motivate Liverpool to something they've never done before.
Which is?
Win 3 trophies.
Yeah, they've got a shot at it. They don't have a shot at 4 because they're not in the Champions League. But these same two teams are going to match up for the Carabao Cup in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
What day is that going to be?
That is going to be on February the 25th.
Right.
That's a Sunday. And they just released the game time, and it's going to be a 9 a.m. kickoff. So should be good. And I'm guessing that will be on ESPN Plus. So everybody will be able to watch it then. So it should be a good one. But hopefully Chelsea will have a better showing because today they did not show up.
No, they did not. And their defense was pathetic.
Yeah,
and they never really were in. They were not showing any danger at all. From what I saw, they did get a goal, but I don't know what's a bigger story here: the story of Liverpool's resurgence, or what's going on at Chelsea.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to go with the resurgence of Liverpool. I mean, I think this was just a game where Liverpool were just extremely motivated to win. You could see that for sure. I mean, whether or not Chelsea were just kind of struggling because of the atmosphere and they seemed a little lackluster, weren't ready to play, that's for sure. But I think you flip this around, you put it into a cup final, it could be a different showing.
And where will that cup final take place?
That's going to be at Wembley.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So at least there will be no home field advantage. It is always hard.
No.
Let's be honest. It's always hard to go to Liverpool and win there at Anfield.
Yeah, exactly.
There's really no shame in that.
No, and definitely you could see that. I mean, the lineups. I thought. I mean, Liverpool are still missing arguably their best player, right? In Salah. So, but then like you said, we talked about the emergence of some younger players who came in. So that was great for them. And Jota looks fantastic. Nunez is looking better, even though he missed the penalty kick.
Yeah.
and Diaz, I mean, that front three could be a new front three for him.
Yeah.
When you're looking at it from the future. So that could be really, really good. But like I said, I think with the Chelsea lineup, they just kind of showed in little bits and pieces. They had some moments, but not enough in terms of extended periods of time.
Yeah, you mentioned Nunez. He hit the post twice and the crossbar once. And he just, he's one of those guys that if he ever puts it together, look out.
Definitely. That penalty kick he hit the post, he hit that so hard. That ball bounced like he almost hit the halfway line. I've never seen a ball that hit that hard on a penalty kick. That would have broke the net. But yeah, it was a great showing for Liverpool today. And
he's still young. He seems like he's been around forever, but he's still in his mid-20s.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
Nunez could get better. But anyway, let's talk about Jurgen Klopp, because this is his 9th season with Liverpool. That's a long time in the Premier League. In fact, it's a lifetime in the Premier League for one team have one coach like that.
For sure.
And what has he not accomplished? He's done it all. He's won all the trophies. He's brought that club back to prominence. He's done it all. One of the reasons that I follow Liverpool, one of the reasons that I'm a huge fan is because of him. The other reason is because of my love of the Beatles, and they're from Liverpool. Yeah. And I found something. I've been hearing them sing this. I finally found it online. This is the combination of the two things. You ready? This is Jurgen Klopp and the Beatles together. This is the song that they sing, that the crowd sings for Jurgen Klopp at Anfield. I'll play a little clip of it for you. Here it goes. Yeah, that's it.
That's great. So they're in love with Jurgen. Is that the change? I couldn't quite catch that. So yeah.
Yes, I'm so glad that Jurgen is a Red.
Oh, nice.
He'd win the Premier League. He said, and he did. He won it a couple of years ago, and hopefully the crowd gathers around and the players rally behind him. I saw an interview with him. He said that he just couldn't continue at this level to give it all he had all the time, and I totally understand that. I mean, I've been wondering about it for a while, how he maintains it.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a real thing. We don't understand all of the pressures that these managers are going through. That's for sure. And I think he needs a break. And I've heard people say this before, and this was a good point. Guardiola did the same thing. Left Barcelona for a year and then came back and went to Bayern Munich. So maybe this year we'll just regurgitate, give him a little bit more energy to come back and manage Chelsea one day.
Well, he said he'd never coach again in the Premier League for any other team. But, people have said that before.
Yeah, exactly. Jose Mourinho said the same thing. He said, somebody asked him, I remember this, they asked him when he was the manager at Tottenham, he said, didn't they tell you he was never going to manage another team in London? He said, well, that was before they sacked me.
Yeah, right. That changes everything, right?
Exactly. But now the other nice thing is, I don't know if you saw this, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this, is that they did announce today that they're going to have a documentary series on the last 6 weeks of Jurgen Klopp. So they're going to have a camera in the locker room just following him around. That thing's going to be one of the most watched things ever. That's for sure.
Somebody sent me a video a few weeks ago of Klopp showing a young disabled kid around. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
The kid came to Liverpool. He was a huge fan. He, he's on the spectrum, has, something not quite right. And they showed him in the crowd, and he was crying because it was such a special moment for him. And Jurgen Klopp got in touch with his family and had him come and do like a backstage interview. And they showed him around. They took him up, in the locker room. They had him meet all the stars, and it was just a beautiful thing.
Wow. Yeah, tells you everything about the man, doesn't it? Really,
it does. So I have written a couple of poems for him. They've got a song for him, right? So the least I can do. This is Liverpool has got a very Irish heritage. A lot of Irish people live in Liverpool or have some sort of Irish heritage. So I have decided to write limericks for Jurgen Klopp. All righty. There once was a man named Klopp, hired to move his team up. With a great halftime sermon and a hug from the German, they won each and every cup. All right, and one more. The fans certainly had doubt. The new coach, his umlaut, players on loan and homegrown, big stars and unknown, won year after year for that crowd. And those are my limericks for my favorite coach of all time. And I'm very, very sad. I'm hoping that he becomes the coach of the German national team because they can use him.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen.
You think so?
When, we're not sure, but yeah, I think it will happen.
So this is one of those weird weeks where the Premier League games are all in midweek because of the FA Cup. So that's kind of why we're taping this at a later date than we usually do. So I think we're going to leave the Premier League stuff other than what we just talked about for next week. And why don't we talk about the FA Cup first? Because those games happened over the past weekend. We had some obvious wins. Manchester City. Some bummer losses. I was rooting for Wrexham, but they lost to Blackburn. I was rooting for Newport County. They lost to Manchester United. But tell me about Maidstone United.
Unbelievable story. What do you think about that, huh?
They knocked off Ipswich, right?
Yeah. They were second in the championship. They're up there, and they've knocked them off. So they're in the sixth tier. So basically,
they're not even a professional team, really.
Correct. Yeah, semi-professional. So they are competing in that sixth, the National League South, which is the sixth level of the English Football League system. They were a member of the Football League, so they have been in the league, but they've obviously gone down, and they're now trying to work their way back up. But based in Kent, and this is just an amazing story. So they've now going through the process of trying to improve themselves to see if they got themselves a nice draw, and they do have a nice little draw because they are going to be playing Sheffield Wednesday or Coventry City. So probably a potential another upset. Yeah. They didn't get one of the big guns. So who knows? The sixth round is the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
so
right.
Anything could happen.
Yes.
Yeah, anything could happen. So this is the fifth round. So it's crazy how far they've gone. I think, if I remember, this is the furthest that a six-tier program has ever gone before. So it's amazing.
Well, there's who's everyone's going to be rooting for, right?
Yeah.
Now, does it happen in England that there's a underdog like this and everyone roots for them, or is your club affiliation so strong that you never root for anybody but your own team?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think if your club's still in it, obviously you're not rooting for them. But I would definitely say with this type of a situation, it's kind of such a situation where there's such an underdog. I think you're going to see, your Liverpools and your Man United fans or whoever may be, who are may not directly involved with them, they're going to be supporting Maidstone United, no question. So they're hoping that they get through.
So it's pronounced Maidstone.
Yes, Maidstone United.
Maidstone,
yeah.
Okay. The other thing in the FA Cup, and by the way, I can hear you are a little down. You're a little down, aren't you?
I am. I'm just still in shock by that result.
Yeah.
I thought we were doing all right. Yeah, it's not good. Not good. And I have been gone last week, so I like you, I've been doing a lot of screaming because I was at an ODP event, so I was doing a lot of coaching. Not that I'm screaming at the players; it's all positive, but I was speaking a lot.
Encouraging.
For sure.
You were
encouraging.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. Let's talk about the other FA Cup games because I don't remember quite this many replays all happening at one time. 5 games are going to have to be replayed, including Chelsea versus Villa. I know our one Villa fan that listens to the show is kind of gloating a little bit. But what are your thoughts? So you think Chelsea can come back?
Yeah, it's hard to say. After this game, you don't know where their spirits are. You're hoping that they can come back and do okay. But again, they were at home. Chelsea was home, so they've got to go to Villa and win.
Right.
I think with all of these FA Cups now, they will have a final result of some type. So when the games draw, if it's still tied at the end of regulation, they'll have penalty kicks. I think they do extra time. I have to double check on that, but they will get a result either way in that replay. But you're right. I mean, so a good example is Chelsea or Aston Villa will play the winner of Leeds United or Plymouth Argyle. So you have no idea because of all the replays.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing the draw, it doesn't really help you that much at this point for the next round. But I was listening to Graham Lasso today because he was a Chelsea legend himself, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the first, I'd say 5 or 10 minutes, he was so clearly rooting for Chelsea. I mean, he called that a penalty. There was a Conor Gallagher got tripped up a little bit, called it a penalty. Clearly was not.
Clear penalty.
Clearly was not a penalty. But by the end of the game, he sounded like you sound right now.
Yeah, probably. I think it's a little bit more of a shock. I think that's the biggest thing because you don't expect to get blown away. Again, going back to the game, statistically, it was ridiculous. 28 shots to like 4. I mean, it's just. I mean, even from a possession standpoint, but no chances. And I think that was the biggest thing.
And it looked like every ball. Liverpool wanted it more than Chelsea did. I mean, the announcers were even saying that. Like, look, whenever two players came for the ball, the red player ended up with the ball somehow. Mm-hmm. It's like they were more motivated. They wanted it more.
Yeah. So, it's going to, whether or not Chelsea can rebound, obviously we've got the league games this week. Yeah. Then we get into the replay. So hopefully they can figure things out by then. They've got some work to do on the training ground, and we'll see what Poch is made of. It was frustrating because they were on a bit of a run too. Chelsea were starting to surge a little bit. Maybe this is just a little bit of an upset for them, but the biggest thing is they've still got a chance to win a cup against Liverpool, so that's the important thing.
They do, and they're still in the FA Cup too. So I mean,
that's right.
And they have had a couple of stinkers like this year and bounced back.
Exactly.
So if you're a Chelsea fan, there's hope. There is hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So next week we'll go deeper into what's happening with the Premier League. But let's mention that Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Yeah, Illinois Youth Soccer has been providing soccer for the Illinois' largest youth sports organization with approximately 95,000 players. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association, and charter member of U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and the U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, and to go to our brand new website, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org.
I checked it out, by the way. Much nicer.
Good, isn't it? Much
nicer than the old one.
There you go.
So any stories from your ODP coaching, or is this...
Yeah, no, it was good. We was in Orlando, so we So weather was by the way, weather was fantastic.
I was in Richmond, and it was 70 degrees. It was like a breath of fresh air.
It was really nice, and games were good, competitive. But really, the highlight outside of the ODP for me, and you'll appreciate this. So a friend of mine is working with Orlando City, and he said, "Come on down. Can we take a little look around at the academy and everything?" And he also said, "We've got a team in town training at our facility." So I said, "Great." Flamenco from Brazil was there training. So I got to see one of my favorite former Chelsea players, Arsenal players, and goodness knows however many teams he's played for, PSG twice. David Luiz was out there playing. Yeah, so it was quite cool to watch them train, kind of see it. The atmosphere for the training session was absolutely fantastic. The Brazilians know how to put on a party, even for a training session. Probably 3,000 people there watching the training session. So had a really good time watching that, enjoying it, getting to see a little bit about Orlando City. So that was nice. And and certainly enjoyed the weather. It was great.
It does feel like the Major League Soccer academies are starting to get their act together a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. You're definitely seeing that. I think all of those MLS academies are starting to develop players. Certainly, they were watching a lot of games that were going on in Orlando where we were playing, so giving them the opportunity to look at younger players. Currently, right now, players are typically signing for MLS academies at 12 and 13. Now, you remember when we went to Chelsea, it's a little bit different. They're signing them at 8 or 9.
More like 6, isn't it like 6 when they start looking at them?
They look at them at a very young age, and they sign contracts at 9. Yeah. So, but that's not to say, I think the way we're going, and again, they've been doing it for 100 years. US is a little bit younger in that respect. We've only been doing it for less than 30. But it's moving in a really positive direction in terms of the development of the players as they are given the opportunities to be part of an academy, and now given the opportunity to play for your professional teams like the Chicago Fire or Orlando City, whatever it may be.
And is it done regionally like it is in Europe? Like when we were in England, they told us that they're only allowed to recruit within a certain region. Like each club owns the rights to that region. Is it that way with the MLS?
To a certain point, there is some areas where you can kind of explore because there is a protection of certain amount of players. So there's some somewhat complicated rules, but they do have the ability to go outside of their region occasionally. But then again, when you look at some of the regions that we have, do you really need to? When you look at some of the areas we have, certainly Chicago, New York City, Los Angeles, there's enough players there to keep you pretty happy, I would think. It's probably those in those smaller markets where they may have the ability to go out of region. But yeah, lots of opportunities for players, whether it be within programs like ours, the Olympic Development Program, being able to be then seen, to then be able to move forward or to continue to develop in our programs, whatever it may be. That's the nice thing about the setup that we have is there's opportunities for all, not just for the top players.
Right. You have that Beatles song going through your head right now, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I looked it up when we were watching it. I was watching the video a little bit. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
brought me back.
All right, it's time for your favorite part of the show.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
And as I mentioned, my son is picking the Premier League stars now. So I don't know if that's good for you or bad for you. Last week it wasn't good for you, but we'll see. This week's Premier League star is 26 years old.
Okay.
And as a younger player, he played for a club called Slough Town.
Ooh.
Now, that's your area there, isn't it?
It's my hometown.
Yeah. So.
Did he know that? Did he know that, by the way?
Did I know that?
No. Did your son know that?
No, he did not.
Really?
Yeah. I know that because I'm watching Slow Horses, and it's mentioned every week.
It's a good one.
His current Premier League team is his first Premier League team.
Yep.
And they are not currently in the relegation zone.
Okay.
All right. He wears number 11.
Number 11.
And he's a forward. He's a good English lad. He was born in England. Yet he has 4 middle names. And they are Enoluwapo, Oluwafarani, Oluwatami, Oluwalalamo. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 of them. And Ayu Imakulaline. Those are his middle names.
Wow.
So you might be guessing that he, at least culturally, comes from somewhere else.
Yes. The 26, the age of 26 is really thrown me away. Because originally, and I'm pretty good with players at Slough Town, and I'm like, who the heck is that?
Well, his team is currently have twice as many points as you predicted they would have.
Oh, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Who would have predicted that score when they played Brighton the other day, by the way?
Exactly.
Nobody would have predicted that. Yes, absolutely.
In fact, he got a hat trick in that game.
Yeah, he did. He had a good game. There's no question. Now, he didn't play much for Slough, so that's probably why I don't remember him too much. And I'm going to hopefully say this correctly. His name is Elijah Adebayo.
That is correct. Now do the middle names.
No way. Not even close. That's crazy, all those names, isn't it?
You know what's crazy is there's a shot that Luton Town, which is a team he plays for, will not be relegated this year. There's a chance.
I wouldn't say there's a chance. I think it's a strong possibility. I mean, I'm looking at the league table, and it's crazy how well they're doing. It's amazing. I mean, they are in really good shape in terms of what they're doing. I mean, like I said, who would have predicted to beat Brighton 4-0? That makes no sense.
I know. And they are, and the points that we talked about possibly being deducted from some of the other clubs, like Nottingham Forest, that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, right.
So those teams could move below them too.
Exactly. And they've got the game in hand. So right now, their game in hand, because they also play this week, but they would actually move ahead of Brent. They could be in 15th spot.
I know. Which I got to admit, we both picked them to not stay up. You picked them to have less than 10 points for the whole season. And I don't, there's no shame in that pick because I don't think anybody thought they would do anything. This is a small time club compared to some of the teams that they're playing against.
Yeah, capacity of 11,000 at their stadium. So that's more people that go to Newcastle or are around the stadium at Newcastle on game day that can't get in. That gives you an idea of how many people it holds. So yeah, it's shocked that they're doing so well, but pleasantly surprised for them that they are doing so well.
One more thing I wanted to talk about before we get to your TV tip is today is the final day of the transfer window being open. It's the 31st of January as we record this. And the news that just came over the wire is that Gio Reyna has been signed by Nottingham Forest. Yeah.
Big one for them. Exactly. Now he's on loan till the end of the season.
Right.
I don't believe there is a option to buy with that loan, but the great thing is it's going to give him an opportunity to play. So if you're signing him up, I would expect him to get some serious playing time,
which he was not getting really in Dortmund for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. For whatever reason, and interesting. Ian Madsen, who was with Chelsea, he just went over to Dortmund on loan. So, again, depending on what their needs are, what they're looking for, you've got some different players, and Jadon Sancho went back to Dortmund as well on loan. I know him and Gio Reyna are pretty good buddies as well. But yeah, so a lot of on loan type of situations. I think part of that is as we mentioned before, that financial fair play. A lot of people spent too much money.
Yeah, and they're worried about spending more.
Exactly. So I don't think you're going to see anything major, really. Timo Werner and Jadon Sancho are probably the big ones, kind of people moving over. And Eric Dyer went over to your German club, Bayern Munich, and he's doing a good German impression in terms of his accent, too. He's already picked up a German accent. He's only been there 2 weeks. So, you've got to listen to his interviews. Quite funny. All
right, I'll have to check that out. That's pretty funny. All right, it's time for my favorite part of the show.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
Nothing on the schedule that will top what we just saw, but what can we see this weekend?
Yeah, so we've still got a few games left to finish off for this week. So by the time this goes out, we'd have seen West Ham and Bournemouth, Wolves, and Man United goes out, and then we've got a full amount of games this weekend. So we're going to get back on track. But I think there's only one game to watch: Sunday, February the 4th, Arsenal at home against Liverpool. Yeah. Should be a fantastic match. So it's on Peacock, so people are going to need to make sure they have it. 10:30 kickoff. It should be a really good game.
And a must-win for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think so. Just to kind of keep them in close by to where Liverpool and Man City, those two teams seem to be kind of moving forward a little bit. I mean, Liverpool's now 5 points up of both Arsenal and Man City. Now, Man City does have a game in hand, but it could turn into a two-horse race if Arsenal don't get a result here.
Okay, and we'll be talking about that two-horse race potentially next week. Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club. Go to greenwhitesoccer.org to find out more information. We have teams for every age, all the way through over 50. We have people to thank. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasano, with opishows.com. Opie is hippo backwards. We have to thank Ed Silla, who distributes the program. He's with the Radio Misfits podcast network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place, radiomisfits.com. And then, we're going to do this again. You want to come back again next week?
I don't know. I'm not sure after today's result. Do I want to put myself up for more misery? All right, maybe we'll do one more. We'll do one more, and then we'll see how I feel.
Okay, we'll do one more next week. Another episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at radiomisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?